Krishna Krishna Namaste Saraswati Devi Gurvani Prachane Nirvisheshunivadi Paschati Deshatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Dehinosmin yatha dehe Kaumaram yauvanam jara Tatha dehantara praptir Dhiras tatra namuhyati. Reading translation. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Since every living entity is an individual soul, this is purport. Since every living entity is an individual soul, each is changing his body every moment, manifesting sometimes as a child, sometimes as a youth, and sometimes as an old man. Yet the same spirit soul is there and does not undergo any change. This individual soul finally changes the body at death and transmigrates to another body. And since it is sure to have another body in the next birth, either material or spiritual, there was no cause for lamentation by Arjuna on account of death, neither for Bhishma nor for Drona, for whom he was so much concerned. Rather, he should rejoice for their changing bodies from old to new ones, thereby rejuvenating their energy. Such changes of body account for varieties of enjoyment or suffering according to one's work in life. So Bhishma and Drona, being noble souls, were surely going to have spiritual bodies in the next life, or at least life in heavenly bodies for superior enjoyment of material existence. So in either case, there was no cause of lamentation. Any man who has perfect knowledge of the constitution of the individual soul, the super soul, and the nature, both material and spiritual, is called a dhira, or a most sober man. Such a man is never deluded by the change of bodies. The Mayavadi theory of oneness of the spirit soul cannot be entertained on the ground that the spirit soul cannot be cut into pieces as a fragmental portion. Such cutting into different individual souls would make the supreme cleavable or changeable against the principles of the supreme souls being unchangeable. As confirmed in the Gita, the fragmental portions of the supreme exist eternally, sanatan, and are called kshara. That is, they have a tendency to fall down into material nature. These fragmental portions are eternally so, and even after liberation, the individual soul remains the same, fragmental. But once liberated, he lives an eternal life in bliss and knowledge with the personality of Godhead. The theory of reflection can be applied to the super soul, who is present in each and every individual body and is known as the Paramatma. He is different from the individual living entity. When the sky is reflected in water, the reflections represent both the sun and the moon, and the stars also. The stars can be compared to the living entities and the sun or the moon to the Supreme Lord. The individual fragmental spirit soul is represented by Arjuna, and the Supreme Soul is the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. They are not on the same level, as it will be apparent in the beginning of the 4th chapter. If Arjuna is on the same level with Krishna and Krishna is not superior to Arjuna, then their relationship of instructor and instructed becomes meaningless. If both of them are deluded by the illusory energy Maya, then there is no need of one being the instructor and the other the instructed. Such instruction would be useless, because in the clutches of Maya no one can be an authoritative instructor. Under the circumstances, it is admitted that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord, superior in position to the living entity Arjuna, who is a forgetful soul deluded by Maya. So I start today. We are speaking on the nature of the soul. First of all, here it is established the nature of the body. So this is the fundamental thing to understand in spiritual life. The first thing to understand is that we are not these bodies, we are not not the mind. Then what are we? If we see the lives of ordinary people, it all revolves around the body and the mind. If we just remove this thing, then what remains? So that is the soul. So in Sanskrit it is called Atma, which gives a better meaning, understanding of the word, that is the self, as it is used in the word Atmanirbhar, which means self-sufficient. So that is the self which is operating the body and the mind. So as I said, this verse is talking about the nature of the body. So what is that nature? It is ever changing. It's not constant, it's not eternal. It is always changing. So we see that the old cells die and the new cells are replacing them, and this is happening every moment. Every moment our body is changing from boyhood to youth to old age, and then we die and we get a new body. So this is explained in a verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, that is Canto 11, chapter 22, verse 45. It says, Soyam Deepo Chishang Yadvat Srotasang Tadidang Jalam Soyang Puman Iti Nrinam Mrisha Gir Dhir Mrisha Yushang. So it is talking about, it is an analogy of fire and river. I'll read the translation. Although the illumination of a lamp consists of innumerable rays of light undergoing constant creation, transformation and destruction, a person with illusory intelligence who sees the light for a moment will speak falsely, saying, "This is the light of the lamp." As one observes a flowing river, ever new, water passes by and goes far away. Yet a foolish person observing one point in the river falsely states, "This is the water of the river." Similarly, although the material body of a human being is constantly undergoing transformation, those who are simply wasting their lives falsely think and say that each particular stage of the body is the person's real identity. So this is the nature of the body. It is always changing. It's not eternal. So these cells which are dying, they accumulate to form these hair and nails which we cut from time to time. So we can understand how we are not the body through careful observation of these hair and nails. I'll get into that more. So, but before that, we try to understand that this, what is the nature of these karmis. They are always fully attached to their bodies, and we see so many different kinds of hairstyles and beard styles, and for women, nail polish. Nowadays, maybe even not women. So anyway, but you can easily see, observing these hair and nails, what is the reality, that when we cut them, if we observe carefully that this hair was just part of the body, but now it is not. You can realize that this hair is not you, this nail is not you. So, but the foolish people, they cannot understand this simple fact. Someone may say, actually, then it is not me anymore, but it was part of me. So they are taking the self to be changing. They take that we are always evolving. The identity is always evolving. But Bhagavad Gita doesn't support this. So the problem in this case is that the person is comparing himself to an object. He is seeing, like, for instance, I will give an example of a car. That a car is made of many parts. All the parts put together is the car, and also the function for which it is used. That's what defines the car. So now if I take out, suppose I take out one tire from that, it is still a car, but it's just missing one tire, right? So similarly, they will take, like, okay, it was part of me, but now it is not part of me. But these foolish people, they are missing the point that they are not objects. we can make this comparison, but it's not a very proper comparison, because the car doesn't have his individual free will. If suppose the driver wants to go somewhere, now the car won't feel that yes, you want to go there, but I don't want to go there, so let's not go, let's go here instead. So the car won't do that. So what is that living factor that is controlling the car? The living factor is soul. The operator is the soul, the Atma. So it's very easy to understand that we are not these bodies, but due to many lifetimes we are associating with matter, we have got a very dull head that we are not able to understand this simple fact. But as we go on reading again and again, gradually we will come to realize this simple fact, which is fundamental for spiritual life. This is not even getting into the ultimate bhakti, but before that, even this is common among impersonalists and personalists, that at least we should understand that we are not these bodies. So next comes the mind. Okay, we established that we are not the body. Then one may say that I am the mind. I think, therefore I am. Right? So, but before we get into this topic of mind, first thing to understand is the nature of the soul. As we explained before, that this analogy of the car, that the person is saying that it is not me anymore, but it was part of me. That is due to the misunderstanding of the nature of the self, what we are. We are eternal, we are unchanging. So Bhagavad Gita supports this statement, that our nature is not flickering like this body. So this Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 verse 24 explains, Achedyoyam adahyoyam akledyo shoshya evacha nityah sarvagatah sthanur achalo yang sanatanah. So you can see here the nature of the soul is explained in very perfect words. Unbreakable, achedya. It is unable to be burned. Adayah. Then insoluble, not able to be dried, and all pervading, unchangeable. Sthanu means unchangeable. Sthanu is the word for the soul. It is unchangeable. So if we understand this point, that the soul is never changing, then we can come to understand how we are not the mind. Because now if we see this body, my 10-year-old body is gone, but the experiencer of that body is still experiencing this body, right? I was experiencing that body, I am experiencing this body now. So similarly, we can understand the mind. Similar is the case of the mind, that what is the mind made of? You all can say, what comprises the mind? What is the thoughts and feelings? So these thoughts, feelings and desires, these are what makes up the mind. But every second we see we are having so many thoughts, right? So people spend their entire lives. You will see so many yogis, tapasvis, they are spending their entire lives just to control their mind. So, but Arjuna says in Bhagavad Gita, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna. He explains the nature of the mind, that it is always flickering. It's very difficult to control, and even more difficult to control than the wind. So we can see that the mind is always changing, and the collective of the thoughts comprises the mindset. The mindset of a person now will not be the same after few years. It is evolving. Our goals, our likes, our dislikes, aspirations in life, everything is always changing. So then we understand that we are not the body, we are not the mind, because these things are changing. And what is the nature of the soul? We understand from Bhagavad Gita, it is unchanging, sanatana, it is eternal. So then what are we then? You tell, what are you? Soul. But what is that soul? What is the function? What is the function of that soul?
Soul is conscious and consciousness.
Conscious and consciousness. Any other? You tell. That is defining our what is the soul.
Choosing.
Happiness. Okay. Yeah, that's also there. Anand. That is the nature of the soul. But what is that that defining factor for the function of the soul? That is its true identity, its real Swarupa. Yes, you got it. This is said in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Jiver Swarup hoy Krishner Nitya Das. This is the point which we have missed. So that is that soul. So Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Mamai Vangsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. So what are we? Angsha of Krishna. Mamai Vangsho Jiva Loke. So when we understand that this hand is my Angsha, then what is the function of this hand? What does this hand do? It serves, right? So its function is that whatever I desire, it should do. It should work according to my desires, right? Similarly, we understand that we are Angsha of Krishna. So then what is our function? Yes, whatever Krishna desires, that we should do. No, nothing like, okay, Krishna desires this, but this is my liking, that is my liking. That may be there because of our conditioning, but that has to go. Ultimately, all this is our false identification that I have this kind of liking, that kind of liking, nothing like that. Our desires should be perfectly in line with Krishna, and we should act according to that. But how will that happen? Krishna is so far, we are here. How we will serve him? So then comes the Guru. So this Guru Parampara is passing down the message of Krishna. So that's why the Guru is the direct representative of Krishna. And it is this Krishna can be understood actually not directly by us, but by the mercy of the bona fide representative. So his bona fide representatives are to be served by us, and this is our duty. This is our ultimate reality. Now we are in illusion. So so many even Mayavadis, they will say that yes, we are in Maya, but we will come out of Maya. But what is that Maya? That Maya is this false identification. And reality is the real identification, that we have to serve Krishna. And serving Krishna means serving the devotees, abiding by their orders, following them, not being rebellious as we've been since many births. Then we'll attain our ultimate reality. So now I will touch upon some points that are given here by Prabhupada in the purport. Here he firstly he explains about how this soul is there in the body, and the body is always changing. From sometimes it is having youth, sometimes old age, sometimes adulthood. It is always changing, and at the time of death it will again change. This is exactly what is given in the verse. So then when we see when Arjuna is seeing Bhishma, he should not or Drona, he should not be worried that oh, they are going to die, then how this is very bad. No, not like that, because we can see from Bhishma's life, from Drona's life, that definitely they will either go back to Godhead, or at least they will go to higher planets, heavenly kingdom. So their destination is good. And actually we understand that Bhishma was pure devotee, so definitely he went back to Godhead. So there was no need for Arjuna to worry about this. But this lamentation comes from the uncertainty. For the ordinary people, it is uncertain what will happen next. They don't know where they will go after death. That uncertainty brings fear. That uncertainty brings lamentation. But a person who is following Bhagavad Gita, especially by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we are all able to appreciate this Bhagavad Gita and try to understand it little bit through his purports. So that's why then we shouldn't be disturbed by such things. There's no cause for our lamentation. So, and another point then it comes is that dhira. Who is a dhira? So dhira means one who is not disturbed. Here Prabhupada is saying that one who has perfect knowledge of the constitution of the individual soul and the super soul and nature, both material and spiritual, is called dhira. So such a person will not be disturbed. And that is what a devotee is. That is, an ordinary person can never be dhira, because he doesn't understand the individual soul, the super soul and nature. Nature they will understand to some degree, but to understand the soul and the super soul, you have to take to this devotional process. Only then you will come to the proper conclusion. So after that we see Mayavad refutation. Practically we see throughout this, throughout Bhagavad Gita, Krishna refutes Mayavad so many times, but still these Mayavadis don't understand. So Prabhupada further elaborates these points of Mayavad refutation, that this theory that the soul is cut into, like the Brahman is cut into different Atma, that is not supported, because as we saw, this nature of the soul is unchangeable, right? Sthanu. And if we cut the, similarly is the case of the super soul, is never changing. So if we support this theory that the super soul can be cut into many souls, or can be merged back into that, then the that verse is not supported, right? Sthanu, the soul doesn't remain sthanu. So that's the point. It's very clear from Bhagavad Gita that it's Mayavad is not correct. Anyway, so many analogies are given. Here one analogy is given of the sun, moon and the stars. Krishna is like the sun or the moon, and we jivas, we are like stars. Krishna is very great and we are very little. Qualitatively we are one. Both are glowing. You will see moon is glowing, stars are glowing, but how much brightness can the star provide in the night sky? Very little, right? But how much brightness is the moon giving or the sun is giving? Similarly, we will see we are also Satchid Ananda. Krishna is also Satchid Ananda, but he is so much great and we are so little. So this point if we understand, then we come to the right conclusion of our relationship with God. Then we become dhira. Then we understand that we are, what is the soul, what is the super soul, right? And we see this fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the starting verses are giving a perfect description of Bhagavan, how he is superior and we are subordinate. So why we emphasize this point, why is Mayavad here so much refuted, is because if suppose Krishna is not superior and Arjuna is not subordinate, then there is no point of this all shlokas what Krishna is saying, because Krishna is saying here Dehinosmin yatha dehe, and there are so many verses explaining the nature of the soul, the nature of the super soul, but there is no point if we take Krishna as equal of Arjuna. That because one who is in Maya, he cannot help someone else who is in Maya. Both are drowning. But if someone is out of Maya, suppose in an ocean, two people are drowning, how will both of them help each other? But one who is outside the ocean, he will help that person, right? So similarly, we understand that Krishna can give these instructions because he is not in Maya. So that is the point that Mayavadis miss, that this nature of the soul is kshara, as here in the purport Prabhupada says, kshara means it is going to fall down at any moment, but Krishna is not kshara, it is akshara, he will never fall. So this is the point we have to understand. So if I conclude, we have to come to the point of first we start with we are not the body, then we also understand that we are not the mind. Then what are we? We are the operators of these two, the body and the mind. In our conditioned state we are using them for our own sense gratification, but what is our real Swarupa? Real Swarupa is to serve Krishna. So that is the proper engagement of this body and the mind to serve Rishikesha. These senses are Rishika, they are to be used for Krishna's service. So that is our real Swarup. Jiver Swarup hai Krishner Nitya Das. That is our ultimate reality. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments or corrections?
After the soul comes out from the body, why that consciousness also, that soul going to be lost? Means we have this body, we have this mind and everything. It means inside this body, our soul is also there. From the beginning, by birth, by young stage, by old age, we are remembering all the things. After we left this body, why our soul is going to be lost all the memories?
Repeat the why.
Why we forget?
Repeat the question.
So, yeah, no, I got it.
No.
Oh, acha, for here. So, why does the soul forget at the time of death? Through our boyhood, youth, adulthood, old age, always we are remembering everything. But then how do we forget at the time of death? But now if I ask you, do you remember everything from your childhood? You will not remember. Some things you will remember. You will not remember everything. So, but at the time of death, you are completely forgetting everything. There is a purpose behind it. For that we need to understand that why we came to this world. We came to enjoy separately from Krishna. So if we want to enjoy separately from Krishna and we remember our past lives, okay, few past, no, if you remember even just your last life, then you cannot enjoy this current life. You will always be thinking about your past life. There are some cases, many cases actually documented where people remember their past lives. But you'll not see all over the world everyone is remembering all of their past lives. Because if you start doing that, then your current life doesn't make sense anymore. Okay, so that defeats the purpose of us coming to this world. It is to Krishna allows us to come here to fulfill our desires, and then we come to the conclusion that this is not our real place. We have to go back home, back to Godhead. So, but it defeats that free will. If you remember your past lives, then you cannot fulfill that desire of enjoying this world. But also some things carry on, like our liking, disliking. Those things carry forward in next life, and accordingly we get new body, new mind. Everything is different always. Even in this life, it is always changing. But the point of forgetting is so that our next life we can continue in that same illusion which we desire. I hope I answered correctly. Any other question? श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.